Hey everybody, it's International Women's Day, and you know I love any opportunity I can get to celebrate women. I love women. So today I'm going to bring you 5 things that I hope are not as much of an issue in 5 years for women. So I'm just going to list off these 5 things. They're in no particular order, and I'm going to talk for just a few seconds really about each one. And I hope that you can join me in helping my dreams come true of these 5 things. And maybe after this, you can come up with your 5 things that you hope are not as much of an issue in 5 years for us as women. So these 5 things, I'm specifically thinking about women in the United States, although most of these things do transfer to women all over the world, but specifically for women in the United States. So number 1. The first thing is, I hope that in 5 years we are not using the word plus to describe a person's size. So I feel like we can just go at this point to a number system, 0 to whatever number, and not have to tag on an extra identifying term to describe a person's size. We already have numbers, we don't need extra words. So let's take off plus. I don't like it. Number two is that I hope that we can expand our view of the term beauty. So for some reason, one of my biggest pet peeves is that we refer to the industry that sells makeup and skincare and hair care as the beauty industry. And that really doesn't fully describe to me all parts of beauty. So I don't have any issue with makeup, although I don't clearly know how to wear much makeup, but I love the way makeup can make people feel. I like that it's creative, and I like that it makes you have a different look, and certainly I like to get my hair done and all of those things, but I just feel like we should expand the term beauty to include things like kindness and vulnerability and compassion and passion, and not just our outward appearance. So I would encourage you to think about the term beauty industry and start pushing for a more inclusive use of the word beauty. I wish the term beauty industry was used to describe our national parks or our organizations that serve women, or our ability to band together as a community. You know, all of those things would describe beauty to me in more holistic terms than just outward beauty. So just a tiny bit of a pet peeve of mine. I realize it's just words, but I think words matter, and certainly as we raise children, I'm raising 2 beautiful girls right now. As we raise children, we need to be conscious of the way we use those terms. So I hope beauty industry is actually described as the makeup industry, the hair industry, or the skincare industry. All of those things to me are wonderful descriptions of those wonderful industries. Okay, number 3. I hope that in 5 years we have more women serving in public offices. Certainly it is important for women to be represented in all industries, but I think it's particularly important for women to have public offices because our public representatives literally represent our population. So as important as it is for us to have more girls in coding or in science or in all these different industries, I feel like it is imperative for us to have women represented in our politics because they are literally representing us, just like it's incredibly important for us to have representation of all races, ethnicities in public office. So I hope that in 5 years, regardless of what side you vote for, Republican, Democrat, liberal, libertarian, Green Party, independent, regardless, I hope that there are more women in all of the sides of politics in 5 years. All right, number 4, our last 2 things, or my last 2 things, are things that are specifically related to my industry, which is sexual health. So the fourth thing that I hope that people can, we can recognize better in 5 years is that most women have their first and most of their orgasms through clitoral stimulation. So I hope that in 5 years, women aren't asking themselves what's wrong with me if I can't have an orgasm through vaginal penetration. So we live in kind of this society where we talk about orgasms in terms of sex, in terms of a way a male would most likely experience an orgasm, which is great for males, not so great for females, because we know that, scientifically, we know that most women have their first and most of their orgasms through clitoral stimulation. That's just not education that's out there enough. So I hope that helps you. I hope that you feel better about your sexuality for knowing that. And number 5, the fifth thing that I hope that we have less of an issue with in 5 years is that we look at our systems of arousal between men and women differently. I hope that we see that women's arousal is responsive, typically, and many times men's arousal is spontaneous, meaning that men often get aroused, so they seek out sex, versus where women will seek out sex to get aroused. So there's a great book, I hope you get it, called Come As You Are. It's by Dr. Nagoski, Emily Nagoski, and she talks about these two systems of arousal and how we tend to think only in terms of spontaneous arousal. I feel like having sex, so I go seek out sex. I become aroused, so I seek out sex. But a majority of women actually have responsive arousal. So once I start a sexual behavior, then I start to become aroused. So I'll have women in the practice who say, you know what, I could probably go the rest of my life without really thinking or wanting sex. And that's probably true because you have responsive arousal, meaning you have to kind of get started before the arousal happens. And that's okay. That's just a different form of arousal. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just different. It's apples and oranges. But yet we tend to think about arousal only on male terms, on spontaneous terms. So those are the 5 things that I hope are different in 5 years from now. I hope I'm doing this webinar 5 years from now and I don't have anything left to say because we have figured it all out. That probably won't happen, but I'm going to keep working towards it. If these are things that are interesting to you, or if you have more questions about your sexual health or about your femininity or about vulnerability, please feel very comfortable messaging me. You can email me at info@drcelesteholbrook.com and we can schedule a 30-minute complimentary call where you and I just chat about what's going on, and I can provide for you some short and long-term solutions for whatever's going on in your relationship in your bedroom. I also have a course starting on March 26th. I'm super proud of this course. It's called Elevate, and it's for women who maybe experience some of those arousal issues, low libido, low sex drive, and the course is specifically designed for women who are interested in moving forward in their relationship and their sex life, but are stuck from something, sexual shame, low libido, painful intercourse, those types of things. So check out my course, and most of all, happy International Women's Day. I hope you have a beautiful day, and please know that you, my dear, are worthy of pleasure. I will see you soon.